My stepson's wedding revealed my real place in the family. And it wasn't where I thought. Hello, Reddit I plus here. I have been with my wife for 14 years. We met when her son, Tyler, was 10, and his younger sister, Emily, was 7. Their biological father died in a car accident when they were still young, and I came into their lives a couple years later. We never rushed the whole dad thing. I respected their grief and their dad's memory, but over time, I grew into a fatherly role. I coached Tyler's baseball team, taught him how to drive, and helped with his college applications. I walked Emily down the aisle at her wedding 3 years ago. I never tried to replace their dad, just tried to be there. Tyler and I bonded deeply over the years. I helped him through his awkward middle school phase, breakups in high school, college stress, even stood in for Dad's weekend at his university fraternity. He asked me for advice when he proposed to his longtime girlfriend Ava, and I was honored. Ava and I always had a good relationship too. She told me once that I reminded her of her grandfather, steady, kind, and always with a dad joke at the ready. So, imagine my surprise when wedding planning began, and I found myself increasingly uninvolved. Tyler and Ava decided on a big wedding, close to 300 guests. My wife was ecstatic and dove into the planning with both feet. Every day it was flowers this, catering that. I stayed in my lane. I asked if they needed help with costs. They declined, saying Ava's parents were covering most of it and they wanted to keep it simple. Okay, cool. Weeks pass. Then one night, we're having dinner and Tyler says, "Oh, by the way, we sent out the invitations this week." Me. "Oh, that's great. I didn't know you'd finalized the list." Tyler. "Yeah, it kind of came together last minute. Ava's family added a bunch of people and we had to cut back. I didn't think much of it until I saw one of my brothers 2 days later who mentioned not getting an invite. Odd. I texted a few close friends. Same response. Then I saw the wedding website. Ava's dad and mom were listed under parents of the bride. No issue there. But for Tyler, parents of the groom, James and Mary, wife's maiden name, James. Ava's dad? Number James is Tyler's uncle, his dad's brother, who stepped away from the family after their father's death due to addiction problems. Apparently, he's since gotten clean and wants to reconnect. I asked Tyler directly about it. He said, "We just thought it would mean a lot to have someone from Dad's side represent him at the wedding." I stared at him. "Tyler, I've raised you since you were 10. He responded, "I know, and I love you for that. But I feel like this is about honoring where I came from." I told my wife about the hurt I felt, and she responded, "Don't make this about you. This is his day. Let him honor his father." Fine. Then it gets worse. My wife casually mentions that Ava's dad will be giving a speech. I ask if I'll be speaking too. "Actually," she says, "Tyler thought maybe it'd be better to keep the toasts limited to immediate family. You know, so it doesn't drag." I laughed. I helped raise this kid. I've been to every milestone. And now I'm, what? The driver to the rehearsal dinner? The final straw came a week before the wedding. Tyler texts me to ask if I can pick up some family flying in from out of town. Not, "Will you walk me down the aisle?" Not, "Can you help me with my suit?" Just, "Can you do airport runs?" That night, I sat down and drafted a letter. I wrote it like a toast. A farewell, but I didn't send it. Instead, I waited. At the rehearsal dinner, everyone was buzzing. Laughter, wine, the typical pre-wedding stress and chaos. At the end, the floor opened for toasts. Ava's dad made a speech. Tyler's uncle James made one. People clapped, laughed, cried. And then I stood up. "I wasn't asked to speak tonight," I began. "But I think I've earned the right to say a few words." Silence. Everyone turned toward me. I met Tyler when he was 10. He didn't know how to tie a tie. He didn't want to learn either. We struggled through math homework, heartbreak, learning to shave, parallel parking. I wasn't his father. Not by blood, but I tried to be a father to him. Ava looked uncomfortable. Tyler looked tense. And over the years, I thought I'd earned a place in this family. But what I've come to understand is that my place was more temporary than I realized. Like an Airbnb host. Keep the house warm, make it feel safe, and when the real owners come back, step aside. A few people shifted uncomfortably. "I won't be attending the wedding tomorrow," I said. Not because I'm angry, but because I finally understand where I stand. This isn't my family. I've been an extra in someone else's movie. But that's okay. Extras don't get speaking roles. I raised my glass. To Tyler and Ava. May your marriage be filled with clarity and honesty. And may you never forget the people who show up, even when they aren't asked. I left the dinner and drove home. The next morning, I packed a bag and went to a cabin I own upstate. No texts, no calls. 3 days later, I came back to dozens of missed messages. My wife furious, Tyler apologetic, Ava embarrassed. Apparently my absence caused quite the stir. Guests asked where I was. Ava's parents were mortified. Tyler cried. James, his symbolic dad, left halfway through the reception, too drunk to function. My wife moved out a week later to stay with Emily for a bit. Said I'd made a scene. I told her, no, I just finally stopped playing the part I never auditioned for. I've since filed for separation, not out of anger, but peace. I realized you can't keep investing in people who keep reminding you that you're disposable. Sometimes the best gift you can give a family is your absence, so they finally notice what they took for granted. So, I figured I'd pop back in with an update, since a few people have messaged me asking what happened after the fallout. After the locks were changed and I reclaimed my life and house, things were oddly peaceful. Lonely at first, sure. You don't spend a decade of your life with someone and just feel nothing when they walk out with the life you helped them build. But the silence was healing. My fridge stopped being stuffed with things I was allergic to. My wallet stopped leaking money to vendors, fancy wine, and Instagrammable brunches. I could breathe again. For a while, I didn't hear a peep from my ex or her daughter. I stayed off social media just in case they tried to post anything to bait me or publicly shame me. But radio silence. Until a couple of months ago, I was at my favorite dive bar with a buddy when a woman I barely recognized came over to me. Turned out to be one of the bride's aunts, a woman I had only met a couple of times at holiday dinners and who had never said much more than, "Pass the mashed potatoes." She bought me a drink and sat down like we were old friends. "I just wanted to say," she started, eyes serious, "what you did. That was some legendary stuff." I raised an eyebrow. She leaned in. "They tried to keep the wedding on schedule, even after you pulled out. Tried to get the groom's parents to cover the cost. That lasted about 3 minutes. Turns out they're big on earning things yourself, and told them they wouldn't pay a dime for a wedding when the groom hadn't even started paying off his student loans. According to the aunt, the venue booted them for non-payment 3 weeks before the date. The dress hadn't been fully paid for either. The caterer dropped out. The DJ held out until the last minute, then ghosted. The scaled-back wedding turned into a backyard potluck at the groom's cousin's house, which ended up being rained out and moved into a cramped garage. The real dad, he didn't show. Classic move. Apparently, he said he had work obligations, but someone saw him that same weekend at a casino a couple of hours away. The bride cried all morning, and someone had to talk her out of canceling the whole thing. But she walked down a muddy path behind the garage in a dress she couldn't afford and got married anyway. The aunt paused before finishing her drink. "If anyone asks," she said, "I had food poisoning that day. Didn't want to watch the circus." She smiled. "You did the right thing." It felt weird hearing it from her, but not unwelcome. As for me, I've picked up a lot of hobbies since then. Golf's back on the regular schedule. I started woodworking. Turns out it's cheaper than therapy and damn satisfying. I even took a solo trip to Maine just to eat lobster and watch waves crash against cliffs. There's no new romantic partner in the picture right now. I'm not in a rush. Honestly, I'm still detoxing from the emotional hangover of being the stand-in dad who got erased like a post-it note. One night, I did get a message from the bride. No apology. Just a single sentence. "I hope someday you understand why I made the choices I did." I didn't respond. Not because I'm angry anymore. I'm not. But because I do understand. She wanted a fantasy. A fairy tale where the father who showed up late still gets to walk her down the aisle. Where all the years of absence didn't matter as long as he stood at the end of that aisle. Where someone could step in and play the hero at the last minute, regardless of who had been holding things together the entire time. That's not real life. In real life, you don't get to erase people who showed up for you daily. Especially not when you've built your milestones on their back. So no, I don't hope she understands my choices someday. I hope she learns to value the right people before she loses them. As for me, I've got peace, a good whiskey collection, and a garage slowly turning into the man cave of my dreams. I'll take that ending.